What's up, Draft Sickos? It's your boy, Corey Tulaba from No Ceilings, and we are here with Mock Draft version 2 from the No Ceilings NBA fam. Let's break down how these picks got decided. At No Ceilings, which you have access to if you are a No Ceilings Plus member, we get together in our war room, and we go war room style and vote pick by pick by pick. These aren't necessarily reflective of my personal opinions. It is based on how we together collectively as a group thought that each team should draft. Whichever prospect was nominated and got the most votes, that's who won. Things are starting to heat up. We're starting to get a feel for who are the real names in this draft cycle. We have guys like Kingston Flemings who are really rising. We have guys who were preseason getting a lot of buzz who are starting to fall a little bit. We know that the draft cycle is fluid, it's volatile, and guys' stock varies on a game-to-game basis. So this one was really fun. We're starting to get a clearer picture of the 2026 NBA draft cycle. So let's break it all down with the first pick in the 2026 NBA draft. The Atlanta Hawks, via the New Orleans Pelicans, are on the clock.
With the first pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Atlanta Hawks, via the New Orleans Pelicans, select Darren Peterson out of Kansas. Peterson has long been thought of as the potential number 1 pick in the 2026 NBA draft, but he recently missed a string of games due to a hamstring injury. In his first game back against Missouri, he wasn't at full strength, but he still managed to drop 17 points in just 23 minutes. Even though he's still working his way back, that was the first time Kansas has looked that good in a minute. Peterson gives the Hawks a player who can play on or off the ball, which gives them some real flexibility in what they want to do with their roster. While he's a capable and talented scorer, he plays defense with intensity and he competes on the glass. There's some debate as to whether or not he's a point guard going forward. The good news is that Darren has built upon his game over the years, and he's answered the call no matter what his teams have asked him to be. With the second pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards select Cameron Boozer out of Duke. There might not be a better fit for the Wizards than Cam Boozer. This is an organization that's in the process of establishing their foundational pieces and winning culture amidst their rebuild. There isn't a player in the class more synonymous with winning than Boozer. At 6'9", 250 pounds, his blend of size, power, skill, and feel is unmatched. There's a real perennial all-star and potential superstar upside in Boozer. A Cam Boozer-Alex Sarr frontcourt should have Wizards fans salivating about their two-way upside and complementary games. With the third pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Indiana Pacers select Dybantsa out of BYU. The Indiana Pacers could go several directions with this pick, but Dybantsa would fit well in an up-tempo offensive structure around Tyrese Haliburton and Pascal Siakam. Dybantsa is a top-tier athletic wing who can handle the ball, generate paint touches, finish at the basket, and dominate in transition. There are some areas of his game defensively that stand for improvement, particularly as a playmaker on that end of the floor, but his overall talent is undeniable, and learning from Coach Rick Carlisle could unlock untapped playmaking potential within a free-flowing system. With the fourth pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select Caleb Wilson out of North Carolina. The Kings are not short on needs, and Mikel Brown Jr. was heavily and fairly considered to fill the team's long-term need at point guard. However, the Kings are also 28th in rebounding and 27th in two-point percentage. Furthermore, they were desperately lost defensively until Keegan Murray returned from his injury. Enter Caleb Wilson, whose brilliance in transition, top-tier athleticism, and frenetic effort on the boards would all be much appreciated in Sacramento. His lack of self-creation and struggles in the half-court are concerns, to be sure, but they're lesser concerns for a team that already has too many cooks in the kitchen on offense. Wilson and Murray would form a scary forward tandem for years to come, and Wilson would pair very well with either Domantas Sabonis or Maxime Reynaud, depending on who is dealt away. With the fifth pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Mikel Brown Jr. out of Louisville. Now, I know. Another point guard in Brooklyn? Sure. But this isn't redundancy, it's philosophy. The Nets continue doubling down on their vision of a multi-creator ecosystem, and Brown represents the highest upside swing on the board to further that identity. At a listed 6'5", the electric Louisville guard brings a tantalizing blend of outside shot creation, bursty athleticism, and advanced playmaking that fits seamlessly into Brooklyn's evolving core. Yes, the percentages haven't been ideal, but he's launching threes at a volcanic rate. However, the touch indicators are solid, hitting an impressive 83% from the free throw line while posting a 50% free throw rate, showcasing both smooth mechanics and a relentless ability to pressure the rim. And the athleticism has really popped, where he already has 7 dunks total and 5 in the half court alone. For Brooklyn, Brown offers something that they haven't fully unlocked yet, a potential top-tier offensive engine who thrives both on and off the ball. As his percentages normalize, Brown's scoring punch and multi-level creation give the Nets a true high upside piece to build around. With the 6th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder, via the LA Clippers, select Koa Peat out of Arizona. On one hand, the Thunder are playing with house money. Still, they're always a calculated, thoughtful front office. A player like Koa Peat could make sense here. The 6'8" bruiser has found a tremendous deal of success everywhere that he's played. He fights his way to his spots before finishing or delivering a slick pass to an open teammate. He can also get physical on the glass and guard multiple positions. His subpar shooting resume leaves a lot to be desired, and his off-ball defense is inconsistent at the moment. However, Pete's winning track record, stat sheet stuffing production, physicality, and feel make him a worthwhile bet for the Thunder at number 6. At pick 7, the Charlotte Hornets select Kingston Flemings out of Houston. The Hornets are still very much in talent acquisition mode, and Flemings has some of the most upside of any guard in this class. Flemings is playing out of his mind, but he's also showing that he can pivot into more of a complementary role on nights when his shot isn't falling. Regardless of what LaMelo Ball's future with the Hornets looks like, this team is still in need of interior size and additional perimeter on-ball creators. We've seen how brutal Charlotte's offense can look when ball goes down, so having someone who can play different roles, take over when needed, and run the second unit is incredibly valuable. With the 8th pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Braylon Mullins out of UConn. At this point, the Mavericks could probably dream of adding another high-upside talent to the mix alongside Cooper Flagg. And although Kingston Flemings and Mikel Brown Jr. might just be out of reach, the Mavericks still managed to get another fantastic piece here at 8. Insert UConn freshman Braylon Mullins, who would be a sensational addition to the mix. Mullins has finally returned to the court after missing the first 6 weeks of the season from a preseason ankle injury, but he hasn't skipped a beat, dropping 17 points in a recent impressive road victory over Kansas. A lethal floor spacer with good size, feel, and two-way potential, Mullins would be a sensational asset alongside Flagg for years to come. At pick 9, the Oklahoma City Thunder, back on the clock, this time courtesy of Utah, select Jaden Quaintance out of Kentucky. Now, we haven't gotten to see Jaden Quaintance yet this season, but we haven't forgotten about him. For an Oklahoma City team that values passing, feel, and defensive versatility, Quaintance makes a lot of sense. As a 17-year-old freshman at Arizona State, JQ emerged as one of the most active defensive playmakers in the country. He covers ground at warp speed, slides his feet like a much smaller player, and flies off the floor for rejections. Offensively, he can finish above the rim, but it's his on-ball skill set that always caught my eye. He can wire great passes from the top of the key and while driving downhill. His lack of a jump shot and injury concerns are worth considering. However, Quaintance's age, relative production, and evolving feel make him a great target here. At pick 10, the Portland Trailblazers select Nate Ament out of Tennessee. Ament's profile and raw talent should be too much for Portland to pass up. Getting him here at 10 could be one of the better values in the draft. His blend of size, shooting, ball skills, and defensive tools gives him the foundation to become an impactful NBA starter with the upside for more. Portland provides a landing spot for Ament to continue to grow into his game and body without needing to rely on him for heavy on-ball usage. With the 11th pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Chicago Bulls select Labaron Phylon out of Alabama. Now, Phylon doesn't fit the traditional archetype of the Arturas Karnisovas era, as Chicago has long gravitated towards 6'8" wings with athletic pop and questionable shooting. At this stage of the draft, though, Phylon is simply too dynamic, too polished, and too productive to overlook. The 6'4" guard brings a level of shifty, quick twitch creativity that immediately injects juice into a Bulls offense who craves pace pushers. Phylon has taken a real leap as a scorer this season, showing improved willingness and confidence shooting from the perimeter while still thriving as a paint touch machine. His ability to consistently collapse defenses unlocks the full context of his playmaking, a testament to how effectively he bends coverages and finds teammates. The fit alongside Josh Giddey isn't seamless, but Phylon has already shown as a freshman that he can function next to high-usage initiators. In Phylon, Chicago lands a dynamic guard who can pressure the rim, generate advantages, make teammates better, and guard at the point of attack. With the 12th pick, the Milwaukee Bucks select Chris Cenac Jr. out of Houston. The Bucks feel like they're on the verge of blowing it up. Even if they don't, though, Cenac Jr. feels like the best home run swing they can take. At a minimum, Cenac will immediately infuse size, athleticism, and floor spacing. Cenac is still pretty raw, but it's clear how badly he wants to be good with his work rate and coachability. Cenac's combination of size, athleticism, and shooting should be great value at this spot, and if he really hits, Cenac has all the tools to be one of the better players from this draft. At pick 13, the Memphis Grizzlies select Bennett Stirtz out of Iowa. Do we think the Grizzlies could be in the market for a new point guard? Whether you agree with it or not, the culture of this team has been called into question, as well as the future of the star players on the team. One way that we've seen teams overhaul their rosters is by adding players who play with an immense amount of feel and competitiveness, and that's what Bennett Stirtz brings to the table. Stirtz broke out last season with Drake, but NBA teams wanted to see how he would fare playing in a stronger conference. That led to him following his coach to Iowa, where he has put up some solid numbers to this point of the season. He's still connecting from deep and getting his teammates open. Michigan State gave him a tough contest, but they sold out on Stirtz and dared the rest of the team to beat them. That's truly a testament to the ability of the guard, who would be able to play off the talent in Memphis while simultaneously enhancing their strengths with his playmaking. At 14, the San Antonio Spurs select Thomas Haugh from Florida. Haugh has been sensational this year for the Gators, seeing his game take a massive leap from his sophomore year. He's got great size at around 6'9" and plays with his hair on fire. Haugh does all the things on the court that your superstars don't want to do. The Spurs continue to add a lot of firepower in the garage. Adding a player like Haugh would be one of the players who not only raises the ceiling of the team moving forward, but also the floor. At 15, the Golden State Warriors select Yaxel Lindeberg out of Michigan. The Warriors are in the midst of an up-and-down injury-plagued season. As we've seen with this iteration of the Warriors in recent years, they aren't exactly committed to being the best place for developing project players. So why not bring in one of the most NBA-ready players in the class? Sure, Lindeberg will turn 24 before the start of his first NBA season. For the Warriors, though, that just means that they'll get the prime years of a switchable defensive prospect with brilliant passing vision and enough shooting gravity to be a plug-and-play fit in pretty much any system. At 16, the Grizzlies are back on the clock, and they select Hans Steinbach out of Washington. There isn't anything particularly flashy about the game of Steinbach, but he's already been massively productive for the Huskies as a 6'11" paint presence. Steinbach is an elite rebounder, an excellent play finisher, and a mountain of a man in the lane to try and score over. Steinbach's consistency across the board in key areas for a big man should provide the Memphis Grizzlies front office with confidence, especially in an era where teams are looking for skilled big men to play together. If Hans can unlock some more shooting touch and get opportunities to operate more in the middle of the floor, his ascent up the 2026 NBA draft may end up higher than his selection at 16. At 17, the Atlanta Hawks select Aday out of Michigan. After a turbulent 2-year stint at UCLA, Mara has finally unlocked his game in Ann Arbor. The towering Spanish big man brings a fascinating blend of size, touch, and feel that makes him one of the more intriguing developmental centers in the class. Offensively, he showcases slick post work and impressive playmaking for his size. Defensively, his massive frame and timing translate to intimidating rim protection, highlighted by a career 14% block rate. There's still questions regarding how many minutes he can carry at the NBA pace, but the minutes he does give you tend to be highly productive. For an Atlanta team still searching for a long-term anchor in the middle, Mara offers a high upside solution as someone who can grow alongside Jalen Johnson and give the Hawks a foundational piece at the true center spot. At 18, the Thunder are back on the clock, and they select Cameron Carr out of Baylor. How many times do we need to speak to the embarrassment of riches the Thunder have coming into one of the strongest draft classes in a while? It's not going to stop now, and OKC adds one of the best tough shot makers in all of college basketball. Carr came to Baylor after having some hype surrounding him in high school, but it never felt like he got a fair shot at actualizing it at Tennessee. Now, he's one of the more electric players in college. He ranks in the 95th percentile in the number of shots that he takes while guarded. He ranks in the 98th percentile in making those shots. That's just a fancy way of saying he makes tough looks. Beyond that, Carr has some bounce, which he uses to throw down monstrous dunks and to reject shots from the weak side. Despite being a little slight of frame, Carr plays tough, and he isn't deterred from getting to the rim. He can provide floor spacing and defense on a team that values the ability to be multiple different things on the floor. At 19, the Miami Heat select Nicolas of Dallas out of Virginia Tech. The current Miami Heat front office and coaching staff have gotten creative with their offensive scheme to maximize the dribble, pass, and shoot talent on the roster. Of Dallas has the skill set to function well with this current Heat team as a 6'9" playmaking wing who can get his own shot in the mid-range. He's struggled with consistency from an efficiency standpoint, but has generally played low-mistake basketball while also taking on a lead role with Virginia Tech. Abdallah's may not be a primary engine for an NBA offense, but he's the exact type of talent that would thrive in a secondary or tertiary role with a creative system like Miami. At pick 20, the Charlotte Hornets, back on the clock, select Isaiah Evans. With the Hornets continuing their culture shift under second-year president of basketball operations Jeff Peterson, Evans makes a ton of sense here. Yes, it's another member of the Brotherhood staying home in Carolina, but Evans brings an immediate NBA skill in his shooting and shot-making alongside positional size, infectious energy, and a clear work ethic illustrated by his evolving game. He continues to be active and engaged as a defender, attacking closeouts with aggression, and he's able to make plays for others within the flow of the offense. Evans would be seamless off-ball next to Ball, Miller, and Knipple. With the 21st pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Boston Celtics on the clock select Tounde, Yessoufou out of Baylor. The Celtics continue to be red hot in the basketball world, and as our own Nathan Grubel shouted out during the No Ceilings War Room, Boston's developmental staff is on fire. Boston could therefore be in an interesting dilemma this year, especially if they believe they can make some serious noise and a certain superstar is going to return. For now, though, this pick should be too valuable for a team like the Celtics to pass up. In a potentially deep class, Boston could use finding another piece in the rotation for the Brown-Tatum duo. Despite a roller coaster of a start to the year, I actually like this type of value and fit both for team and the player. Freshman Tounde Yessoufou has all the tools to be a dynamic weapon on the perimeter, especially when it comes to putting the ball in the basket. There's been some good flashes on defense as well, when it comes to the on-ball potential and more. While Tounde needs some time to work on his craft, there's no denying he can put the ball in the hoop. And with a team like the Celtics, that alone could be enough to be patient with the rest of the offensive craft, and it doesn't hurt that he can defend his butt off. With the 22nd pick, the Raptors are on the clock. They select Patrick Ngongba from Duke. With what he was able to show in limited minutes while playing behind Kaman Malawach last season, it was all but a given that Ngongba would be the heir apparent to the long line of Duke centers going in the first round of the NBA draft. Everything appears to be on track for Ngongba to continue that lineage this season. While his rebounding numbers have been hurt by playing alongside glass cleaner extraordinaire Cam Boozer, Ngongba's passing flashes from last season have grown into some really nice dimes this year. The Raptors have been one of the most pleasant surprises of this NBA season, even with their recent cold spell. But their center depth behind Jakob Poeltl is disastrously thin. Ngongba would plug that gap right away, with the chance to grow into something more as the Raptors continue to climb. With the 23rd pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Darius Acuff Jr. out of Arkansas. The Timberwolves desperately need point guard help, and Acuff continues to play excellent hoop. Acuff is one of the better organizers of offense among this freshman guard class, and his floor vision and playmaking versatility are constantly on display. He doesn't struggle to get paint touches and does a good job of finding the open teammate based on where the defensive rotation comes from. Acuff has also shown a ton of growth in being able to play without the ball, something he'd have to do with Minnesota. With his playmaking, ball security, and improving scoring versatility, Acuff could help alleviate some of the shortcomings for the Timberwolves. With the 24th pick, the Cavaliers select Ryan Conwell out of Louisville. Conwell has a rare blend of raw power and soft touch. He's built like a running back, which helps him plow through smaller defenders before drawing fouls or finishing inside. Still, he's an electric, versatile shooter who has long been able to marry volume and production from three-point range. He's a solid, low-mistake passer, too. Defensively, his strength enables him to cover more positions than his listed height might indicate, and he loves to use his frame to bully opposing guards. The Cavs have found a lot of success with off-ball guards who can really shoot, and that's what Ryan Conwell is, just inside a much larger frame than you usually find for that archetype. At 25, the New York Knicks on the clock select Henry Visar out of North Carolina. The big man class for the 26th draft could be a bit of a dealer's choice. There are a lot of different types of centers that offer their own unique flavor when it comes to what NBA teams will be looking for. When it comes to the New York Knicks, this team could obviously go in a number of different directions. However, the idea of adding a player like Visar to their front court might be too juicy to pass up. Visar would be a great finesse big for the Knicks. He's a high motor type of big who can shoot it from outside while battling in the paint and has a strong feel as a playmaker. If the Knicks ever wanted to pair Visar on the court with a jumbo lineup and have him at the 4, things could get even more chaotic and fun. This seems like a potentially awesome fit for both parties. At 26, the Los Angeles Lakers are on the clock. They select Amari Allen out of Alabama. One of the more pleasant surprises in the early college basketball season has been Alabama freshman forward Amari Allen. An interesting note about Allen is that he came to the Tide as the third-ranked recruit behind Davian Hannah and London Jemison. Despite the ranking, Amari has played in every game for the Tide, starting in 2 of them. On the season, Allen has posted shooting splits of 48, 40, 65, scoring in double figures in 5 straight games. Allen can bring legit size to the Lakers with a strong level of feel. Allen has a solid handle and a unique herky-jerky approach to get to where he wants to go. His floor spacing will complement the play of their guards, and he does have some solid defensive instincts. Right now, the only thing LA needs to worry about with Amari Allen is whether or not he'll be available at this spot on draft night. At 27, the Denver Nuggets select Christian Anderson out of Texas Tech. The Nuggets could afford some help in the backcourt at point guard, and Anderson has all of the talent to make an impact in the NBA from the jump. Anderson's passing craft in the pick and roll has been on full display this year at Texas Tech, as he's taken on the lead role as the offensive primary initiator. His shot making from the perimeter fits both in an on-ball and an off-ball role, making him a versatile addition to any team's rotation. Concerns have stemmed from his frequency and efficiency at the rim. However, Anderson has made the most of constant double teams and ball pressure, and he makes the right play far more often than not. Anderson is the exact type of guard who could end up pushing himself much higher in the draft than where he's currently projected. At 28, the Oklahoma City Thunder are back on the clock, and they select Paul McNeil Jr. at an NC State. At 6'5", McNeil enters the league as one of the premier shooting specialists in the class. He's a dynamic off-ball threat whose spot-up and movement shooting should scale cleanly into OKC's system. He can create his own look in a pinch, but his real value lies in the way he relocates and bends defenses without the ball. While his playmaking flashes haven't translated to a big assist percentage this season, McNeil's decision-making stands out in a different way. He rarely turns it over, posting an absurdly low 3% turnover percentage. Defensively, he'll need to add strength and be more disruptive to guard NBA wings, but the offensive fit is obvious. With the first-round pick of the draft, the Thunder make a smart, cap-friendly bet on elite spacing. If they need someone to slide into the Isaiah Joe blueprint, McNeil looks like a seamless plug-and-play option. At 29, the Detroit Pistons are on the clock, and they select Malik Thomas out of Arkansas. The Pistons clearly have a type with guys who defend at a very high level with plus athletic tools. Thomas doesn't exactly fit that billing, but his offensive upside could provide a fun injection of scoring to this team as a rotation guy. Thomas isn't a good defender yet, but the work rate and desire to defend are clearly there. In this culture, it wouldn't be shocking to see his defensive performance improve rapidly. Additionally, one of Thomas's biggest areas of improvement is his on-ball creation and processing speed, as he can be prone to over-dribbling. That won't be an issue with the Pistons, as his role as an off-ball scorer, where he's lethal, would be very clearly defined. Even though Thomas doesn't exactly fit the type of guy the Pistons have targeted, his personality would be a great fit while also providing a skill set that they don't already have. And rounding out the end of the first round, for the Washington Wizards at pick 30 is Dame Sarr out of Duke. Although Sarr hasn't been a major statistical force so far this season, there have still been glimpses of why he could develop into the best perimeter defender in the class and a projectable 3-and-D fit. Sarr is long and fluid with good defensive instincts and switchability. The shooting has historically been a bit up and down, but he's displayed touch throughout his career. Sarr's selection adds to the much-needed collective defensive upside in DC and provides a possible profile/role replacement for Bilal Coulibaly. However, he could still form a dynamic defensive wing duo with